Hi everyone. Today I'll be looking at George Benson's solo on the tune I Remember Where's. Benson's solo begins 55 seconds into the tune and is played over a repeated progression, which is a modified minor key 12-bar blues. As you can see, the tonic, subdominant, and dominant chords of the minor blues are still present in the I Remember Where's progression, although their positions are connected by interlocking 2-5-1 progressions, and the initial tonic to subdominant move is compressed into a single bar, which is then repeated. Unlike the minor blues, however, the I Remember Where's progression uses a D dominant 7th chord as the subdominant, and the A minor 7 D7 progression can be heard as the tonic and subdominant chords in both the A melodic minor scale and the A Dorian mode. In bar 4 they can also be heard as supertonic and dominant chords and create a 2-5-1 progression with the G minor 7th chord in bar 5. This 2-5-1 progression is the first of a series which interlock through bars 4 to 6. In bar 6 the F13 chord can be heard both as the resolution of the G minor 7 C13 2-5 progression and also as a tritone substitution for a B chord, the usual supertonic chord leading to an E dominant. The F sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord in bar 8 can similarly be heard as the submediant chord in both the A melodic minor scale and A Dorian modes, and as the supertonic of the B dominant 7th chord in bar 9, which again begins a series of 2-5-1 progressions leading to the return of the A minor 7 D7 progression in bars 11 and 12. The I Remember Where's progression, therefore, essentially projects a single A tonal center, which is coloured by 2-5-1 progressions which punctuate the tune's 12 bars, and by the harmonic options which several of the chords possess. These options mean that during his solo, Benson is able to choose his lines from a selection of scales and modes which all possess an A tonic. Notwithstanding these melodic possibilities, much of Benson's solo is derived from the A blues and A minor pentatonic scales, which are essentially identical except for the addition of the E flat note in the blues scale. The A blues scale is also the scale from which the head's melody is taken. Throughout the solo, Benson periodically adds other notes to these scales' note pool. Typically, these other notes are included either when the underlying harmony requires notes not present in these scales, or when Benson wishes to use chromatic non-harmony notes to colour his lines. Frequently, these chromatic notes can also be heard as belonging to other scales and modes with an A tonic. The solo, therefore, is an excellent example of a jazz solo which essentially unifies a complete progression with a single scale which is coloured by other notes when required. There is a common misconception held by many that in jazz a different scale or mode is used to improvise over each change of chord. While this may be true in many instances, there are also many examples where part of a progression, or as here, a complete progression is unified by a single scale or mode, coloured by occasional chromaticism. Looking now at the solo, from the upbeat bar until bar 4, Benson is using the A blues and A minor pentatonic scales. As you can see, over much of this passage, Benson restricts his note choices to A and C. These notes can be used over both the A minor 7 and D7 chords, as they are common to both, being the root and third of the A minor 7 chord and the 5th and 7th of the D7. It is only here that Benson uses the complete A blues scale, which, when played over D7 harmony, produces the 11th, 9th, and flat 9th extensions, and when played over the A minor 7th chord, the 11th. The flat 9th over the D7 chord can also be heard as a chromatic passing note between the notes E and D. In this bar, which begins the first series of interlocking 2-5-1 progressions, Benson uses only notes from the A minor pentatonic scale, except for the initial G sharp, which can be heard as a chromatic lower neighbour note to A. To outline the C13th and G minor 7th chords, Benson would have needed to introduce the notes B flat and F natural. By continuing to restrict his note choices to the A minor pentatonic scale, however, he maintains melodic continuity with the initial bars of his solo and produces the 6th, 9th, and 11th extensions over the G minor 7th chord and the 9th over the C13th. Over the F13 and E7 flat 9 chords in bar 7, Benson's note choices can be heard as either being derived from the A minor pentatonic scale, which, to fit the F13 harmony, has now had an F note substituted for the G, or as an embellished F major 7 arpeggio with a chromatic passing note between C and D. Either way, the use of a major 7th interval over a dominant 7th chord hints at the sound produced by the so-called bebop dominant scale, which includes both a major and minor 7th note from its tonic. In bar 8, Benson outlines the underlying harmony, again using only notes from the A minor pentatonic scale. He arpeggiates the A minor 7th chord, and over the D7 plays only D, C, and A, the chords root, 7th, and 5th. Through bars 9 and 10, Benson continues to use the A minor pentatonic scale, a choice which produces the following altered extensions over the F sharp minor 7 flat 5 and B7 chords. In bar 11, Benson begins a repeating pattern which, with several modifications, lasts until bar 13 and the end of the first 12-bar cycle. As usual, through these bars, notes from the A minor pentatonic scale are used as a basis to which Benson adds chromatic notes and notes belonging to the underlying chords. Here in bar 11, the pattern, when played over the E7 flat 9 harmony, produces the sharp 9, sharp 5, and 11th extensions, while the G sharp is the chord's third. In bars 12 and 13, the notes B and A sharp produce the 13th and sharp 5 extensions over the D7 chords, while the A and C notes outline the root and third of the A minor 7th chords and the 5th and 7th of the D dominant 7ths. The G sharps in these bars can be heard as both incomplete chromatic lower neighbour notes to A and as part of the A melodic minor and A harmonic minor scales. However, because Benson here avoids the note F, it is difficult to determine from which scale the G sharp is derived. The A sharp similarly can be heard as both an incomplete chromatic lower neighbour note to B and as the sharp 5 extension of the D7 harmony. In these bars, Benson is again essentially using notes from the A minor pentatonic scale, although here a B is included between the C and A, and here an F sharp, the 6th above the A minor 7th chord, is used. Because this G minor 7 C13 2-5 progression is a tone lower than this A minor 7 D7 2-5 progression, Benson begins a melodic sequence by using a descending A minor 7 arpeggio through bar 17, and then a G minor 7 arpeggio in bar 18. The arpeggios are used over both harmonies in their respective bars and produce the 7th, 9th, and 11th extensions over the D7 chord, while the G minor 7 arpeggio and its melodic modification here produces the 9th, flat 9th, and sharp 5 extensions over the C13th chord. The sequence also includes here an F sharp passing note between the notes G and E, and an E passing note here between F and D. The flat 9th and sharp 5 extensions can also be heard as passing notes, with the G sharp connecting the G minor 7th arpeggio with the F7 arpeggio on the first two beats of bar 19. This D note can be heard as both an upper neighbour note to C and as the 13th of the F7 chord. The notes A, D, and C are also part of the A minor pentatonic scale. The melodic shape of this entire bar, therefore, can be heard as an embellished A minor pentatonic scale, with Benson adding as required the necessary notes of the underlying harmony to the pentatonic framework. This idea is then carried into the next bar, where these notes can be heard as being derived from the A blues scale, and these from the A Dorian mode. In the following 5 bars, leading to the end of the second 12-bar cycle, Benson's note choices are again taken entirely from the A minor pentatonic and A blues scales. By again limiting his note choices to these scales, Benson produces the following extensions. Throughout bar 27 and the first 2 beats of bar 28, Benson's note choices are derived from the A Dorian mode, which he plays essentially in thirds. The Dorian mode produces the 6th, 9th, and 11th extensions over the A minor 7th chords, and the 9th, 11th, and 13th over the D7. Here, because Benson again avoids the F through this line, it is difficult to determine if he was thinking in terms of the A melodic minor or the A harmonic minor scale. This line can also be heard as an embellished A minor pentatonic scale, with this initial G sharp being a chromatic lower neighbour note, and this an incomplete chromatic lower neighbour note. Benson here creates a compound melody which moves in thirds between the root and 13th and the 5th and 7th of the D7 chord. And here the G minor 7 arpeggio shares rhythmic similarities with the earlier G minor 7 arpeggio Benson played during the sequence in bars 17 and 18. This line essentially moves through a descending A blues scale, with a B flat added to outline the 3rd of the G minor 7th chord and the 7th of the C13th. When played over the C13th chord, the E flat and D notes of the A blues scale produces sharp and 9th extensions. Here, Benson's lines again create a compound melody which moves in 6ths between the sharp 11th and 9th extensions of the F13 harmony, and the flat 9th and 11th and 3rd and root note of the E7 flat 9 harmony. In bar 32, Benson uses part of the A minor pentatonic scale with an added B note. The B note can be heard both as the 9th above the A minor 7th chord, and along with the D note through compound melody, it provides further resolution of the preceding dominant harmony. Here, the E produces the 9th extension over this D7 chord, while its D sharp approach note can be heard as a passing note and chromatic lower neighbour note, and as the blue note from the A blues scale. Over the final 5 bars of the third 12-bar cycle, Benson continues to use the A minor pentatonic scale for his note choices. His melodic lines here resemble lines he played earlier over the first and second cycle's final bars, and here again they produce similar extensions. Unlike the earlier progressions, however, Benson continues this 2-note idea, which he later plays as octaves. Benson uses octaves throughout the final 12-bar cycle. From here, however, although most of his lines are still derived from the A minor pentatonic scale, he begins to add other notes to the original 2-note idea. These other notes are added to outline the relevant chords or to produce extensions. Here, for example, the A minor 7th, 9th, and 11th extensions are produced. Here, the G minor 7th, 9th, and 11th also. And here, the 11th of the C13th chord. Benson concludes this cycle and his solo using ideas similar to those he used to conclude previous cycles. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.